Death has a way of bringing out the worst in families. I learned this standing in Aunt Clara's study. Watching her lawyer shuffle papers while my sister-in-law Samantha drummed her perfectly manicured nails against the mahogany desk. The sound made my teeth ache. My name is Lila, and until today, I thought I understood my place in the Morrison family hierarchy, somewhere between the household help and a particularly tolerated stray cat. But Aunt Clara, even in death, had other ideas. Are we quite ready to begin? Samantha's voice cut through the silence. She straightened her designer blazer, a gesture I'd seen her perform countless times before delivering bad news to subordinates at her marketing firm. The lawyer, Mr. Phillips, adjusted his glasses. Just waiting for Henry to join us. Henry? Samantha's fingers stopped their drumming. What's he doing here? He hasn't spoken to the family in years. As if summoned, Henry appeared in the doorway, his presence sending a ripple through the room. My husband Mason shifted beside me, his hand finding mine beneath the table. A gesture of support, or perhaps a request for it. Now then, Mr. Phillips began, let us proceed with the reading of Clara Morrison's last will and testament. I tried to focus on the legal jargon, but my mind kept drifting to my last conversation with Clara. She'd invited me for tea, insisted on using her prized vintage teapot collection. Sometimes, she'd said, the most valuable things aren't what they appear to be. The lawyer's voice snapped me back to attention. To my niece Samantha, I leave my collection of vintage teapots. Samantha's laugh was sharp enough to cut glass. The teapots? That's it? And to Lila, Mr. Phillips continued, I leave my technology patents, including all associated rights and royalties. The room went silent. Then exploded. This is absurd. Samantha shot to her feet. Those patents are worth millions. She's not even blood family. Mason's grip on my hand tightened. Sam, please. Don't Sam me, Mason. Your little librarian wife has somehow manipulated our aunt. This will is obviously invalid. Henry cleared his throat. Actually, Clara was quite clear about her decisions. Wasn't she, Mr. Phillips? The lawyer nodded. The will is legally binding and explicitly states these wishes were made of sound mind. I sat there, numb with shock. The patents. Clara's life's work. Her legacy. Why me? I won't accept this, Samantha hissed. You've been plotting this, haven't you? All those little visits, playing the devoted niece-in-law. What did you do, poison her mind against me? That's enough. Mason stood up, but his voice lacked conviction. I found my voice, surprising myself with its steadiness. I had no idea about any of this, Samantha. Clara never. Oh, spare me your innocent act. She turned to Mason. Your wife has been manipulating this family since day one. First Clara, now you. When will you see it? Mason's silence spoke volumes. I suggest we take a moment to process this, Mr. Phillips intervened. There are other matters to discuss. But Samantha was already storming out, her heels clicking against the hardwood floors like angry exclamation points. Mason hesitated, caught between following his sister and staying with me. He chose neither, mumbling something about getting air before leaving the room. Henry approached my chair. Don't let her intimidate you. Clara knew exactly what she was doing. I looked up at him, searching for answers in his expression. Did she tell you about this? Clara told me many things. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. And I think you'll find there's more to this inheritance than just patents. As I sat there, surrounded by Clara's books and belongings, I realized this wasn't just an inheritance, it was a match being struck. And Samantha's reaction suggested she knew exactly what kind of fire it could start. I just hadn't figured out yet if I was meant to be the flame or the moth. The Morrison family mansion felt like a museum of carefully curated resentments. I wandered through the post-funeral gathering, clutching a glass of wine I hadn't touched. Watching Mason disappear into his father's study with Samantha. The door clicked shut behind them with quiet finality. 3 hours had passed since the will reading, and my husband hadn't spoken more than 10 words to me. Each time I caught his eye, he'd look away, as if the weight of my inheritance was too heavy to bear. They're quite the picture of family unity, aren't they? Henry appeared beside me, nodding toward the study door. Samantha always did know how to command an audience. I set my untouched wine on a nearby table. She's his sister. Of course they need to talk. About you mean? Henry's smile didn't match his eyes. About how to handle the unfortunate situation of the librarian who dared to inherit Clara's legacy. Through the study's stained glass windows, I could see their silhouettes. Samantha's arms moved in sharp, decisive gestures while Mason's shoulders slumped further with each passing minute. You know, Henry continued, Clara kept detailed records of everything. Every conversation, every decision. Every betrayal. Before I could ask what he meant, the study door swung open. Mason emerged first, looking worn and defeated. Samantha followed, triumph radiating from her like heat from a furnace. Darling, she called out, voice dripping with false sweetness. We need to discuss something as a family. I stepped forward, but Mason wouldn't meet my eyes. The patents, he said, voice hollow. We think it would be best if you sign them over to the family trust. The room went quiet. Even the distant chatter of other mourners seemed to fade away. The family trust. I repeated the words, testing their weight. You mean Samantha's control? It's what's best for everyone, Samantha interjected. You can't possibly understand the complexities of managing such valuable assets. We're trying to protect you. Protect me? The laugh that escaped me didn't sound like my own. Like you protected Clara? Samantha's perfectly composed expression cracked, just for a moment. What exactly are you implying? Nothing, Mason cut in quickly. Lila, please. This doesn't have to be difficult. Actually, Henry spoke up, I think Clara would find this fascinating. The family rallying to protect her wishes by completely ignoring them. Stay out of this, Samantha snapped. You lost any right to an opinion when you disappeared for 15 years. Did I disappear, Sam? Or was I pushed? The tension in the room shifted, like a current changing direction. Samantha's fingers twitched toward her phone, her usual gesture when she felt control slipping away. Mason, I said quietly, is this what you want? He finally looked at me, conflict written across his face. I want peace in my family. Is that so wrong? Peace? I gestured around the room. This isn't peace. This is surrender. How dare you? Samantha stepped between us. You waltz into this family, charm our aunt with your little library stories and humble attitude, and now you're going to lecture us about family? I didn't waltz anywhere. I married a man I love, who used to love me enough to stand up to bullies. Even when they were his own sister. Mason flinched as if I'd slapped him. Lila, that's not fair. No? I turned to leave, then paused. Clara told me something once. She said the true measure of a person isn't in how they treat their equals, but in how they handle having power over others. I wonder what she'd make of this moment. Is that a threat? Samantha called after me. I looked back over my shoulder. No, Samantha. Just an observation. And a promise, I will honor Clara's wishes. All of them. As I walked away, Henry fell into step beside me. You know, he said quietly, Clara left you more than just patents. She left you a key. A key to what? His smile was enigmatic. To the truth. The question is, are you ready to use it? Behind us, I could hear Samantha's voice rising, already spinning this confrontation into another example of my betrayal. But for the first time since the will reading, I felt steady. Clara had chosen me for a reason, and I was done playing the grateful outsider in a family that never wanted me. It was time to show them exactly why Clara had trusted me with her legacy. The key Henry mentioned turned out to be literal, a small brass thing hidden inside one of Clara's vintage teapots. The irony wasn't lost on me as I stood in her study at midnight, hands shaking as I tried different drawers in her antique desk. Mason hadn't come home after the funeral gathering. Staying at the club, his text read. 3 words that said everything about where we stood. The key finally caught in the bottom drawer's lock. Inside lay a leather-bound journal, its pages stuffed with loose photographs and newspaper clippings. The first entry was dated 15 years ago. I see Samantha has begun her campaign early, Clara's elegant script read. Today she suggested I'm becoming forgetful. Convenient timing, just as the new patents are being finalized. My phone buzzed, another message from Mason. We need to talk about the patents. Sam's lawyer drafted papers. I ignored it, turning pages until a photograph slipped out. A younger Samantha stood beside Clara at some corporate event, but it was the man in the background that caught my eye. Henry, watching them both with an expression I couldn't quite read. Found what you're looking for? I jumped, nearly dropping the journal. Henry stood in the doorway, his silhouette dark against the hallway light. You knew about this, I said, holding up the journal. I knew Clara kept records. He stepped into the room. I knew because I helped her gather them, before Samantha pushed me out. What happened? Same thing that's happening to you now. I saw too much, knew too much. Samantha doesn't like witnesses to her methods. A new entry caught my eye. Henry tried to warn me about the contract changes. Samantha claims he's unstable, jealous of her position. The board believes her, she's always been convincing. But I'm starting to see the pattern. She tried to take control of the company, I said, pieces clicking into place. Tried and failed. Clara was smarter than she looked. But the attempt cost me my reputation, my place in the family. Henry's laugh was bitter. Samantha's quite skilled at character assassination. My phone buzzed again. Samantha, this time, Mason tells me you're being difficult about the patents. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. Why did Clara leave me the patents? I asked, looking up at Henry. Why not you? Because I was compromised. But you're different. You see through people's masks. Just like Clara did. A creak in the hallway made us both freeze. Footsteps approached, then Samantha's voice, the lights on in Clara's study. Henry moved quickly, taking the journal from my hands. Back door. Go. I'll handle this. I slipped out just as Samantha entered, but couldn't resist pausing to listen. Well, Samantha's voice dripped contempt. The prodigal cousin returns to steal more family secrets? Just paying respects, Sam. Something you might try sometime. Oh, I respected Clara. Right up until she lost her mind and left her legacy to that gold-digging librarian. Careful, Sam. Your mask is slipping. Like you slipped? Telling Clara those lies about me? Ancient history now, but still, some might wonder why you've suddenly reappeared. Some might wonder why you're so desperate to control those patents. A sharp laugh. Please. I'm protecting our family's interests. Unlike some people, I understand loyalty. Loyalty? Henry's voice hardened. Is that what you call what you did to Clara? To me? I did what was necessary. And I'll do it again if I have to. I backed away, heart pounding. In my pocket, my phone buzzed one more time. Mason, Sam's lawyer, says we can contest the will. Prove Clara wasn't competent. Please don't make me choose sides. But that's exactly what this was about, wasn't it? Sides. Power. Control. Clara had seen it all coming, documented every move in her elegant handwriting. As I drove home, Henry's words echoed in my mind. Clara was smarter than she looked. The patents weren't just an inheritance, they were ammunition. And Samantha knew it. The question was, what else was hidden in that journal? And how far would Samantha go to keep those secrets buried? One thing was certain, I wasn't the only one who'd been underestimated in this family. Clara had played a longer game than any of us realized. Now I just had to figure out how to win it. The cafe where I met Vivian felt too bright, too normal for the weight of Clara's journal in my bag. My friend stirred her coffee with practiced patience while I struggled to find the right words. He hasn't come home in 3 days, I finally said. Mason's staying at his club, avoiding my calls. And Samantha's lawyer? Vivian leaned forward, lawyer mode activated. What exactly did the papers say? I wouldn't know. I haven't signed for the certified mail. I pulled out my phone, showing her the latest message from Mason. Sam's filing the competency challenge tomorrow. Last chance. They're desperate, Vivian mused. But why? The patents are valuable, sure, but Samantha's already wealthy. There has to be more. My fingers traced the edge of Clara's journal. There is. Henry showed me. The cafe door chimed. Samantha walked in, designer heels clicking against tile. Our eyes met, and her red lips curved into something adjacent to a smile. What a delightful surprise, she said, approaching our table. Plotting your next move? Having coffee, I replied. Would you like to join us? How civil. She pulled up a chair uninvited. I actually hoped I'd run into you. There's something you should know about Henry. I'm not interested in. He's been in contact with our competitors. She placed a folder on the table. Phone records, emails. All very interesting timing, don't you think? Right after Clara's death? I didn't touch the folder. Like the timing of your competency challenge? I'm protecting our family's interests. Henry's protecting his bank account. She leaned back, studying me. Did he tell you why he left 15 years ago? What really happened with those early patents? You mean when you framed him? Something flickered in her eyes, surprise, maybe fear. Is that what Clara's little diary says? You should fact-check your sources, dear. Starting with this. She slid another document across the table. A police report from 15 years ago. Henry's name jumped out, along with words like corporate espionage and settlement. People aren't always what they seem, Samantha said softly. Even Clara knew that, in the end. After she left, Vivian let out a long breath. Well, that was a warning, I finished. But for who? Me or Henry? Both, maybe. Vivian tapped the police report. Want me to look into this? My phone buzzed again. Henry, need to meet. Important. Come alone. No, I decided. I need to handle this myself. That evening, I sat in our empty house, Clara's journal open beside the documents Samantha provided. The truth was in here somewhere, hidden between competing narratives and family loyalty. A key turned in the front door. Mason stepped in, looking tired and uncertain. You're home, I said. Samantha showed me the evidence about Henry. He sat heavily across from me. Why didn't you tell me you were meeting with him? Why didn't you tell me you were helping Samantha investigate him? The silence stretched between us like a chasm. I found something else, Mason finally said. In Clara's old records. The patents, they're not just valuable, they're dangerous. In the wrong hands. Define wrong hands. Lila, please. Just sign the papers. Let the family handle this. I opened Clara's journal to the last entry, dated a week before her death. The truth isn't in what we hide, but in why we hide it. Choose wisely, dear one. I can't, I told Mason. Clara trusted me with this for a reason. Then you've made your choice. He stood up, wedding ring catching the light as he reached for his keys. I hope it's worth it. After he left, I texted Henry, meeting tomorrow. Bring proof. The reply came instantly, already did. Check the journal's binding. There, carefully hidden in the leather spine, was a small USB drive. Clara's final secret, waiting to be revealed. Whatever truth it contained would change everything. The question was, would I be strong enough to face it? And more importantly, would my marriage survive the fallout? Only one way to find out. The USB drive's contents spilled across my laptop screen like digital poison. Financial records, emails, surveillance photos, 15 years of carefully documented betrayal. My hands shook as I scrolled through proof of what Samantha had done, not just to Henry, but to Clara's company. Patent theft. Corporate espionage. Forged signatures. My phone lit up with a news alert. Morrison Tech announces leadership changes, Samantha Morrison named interim CEO. The timing wasn't coincidental. Nothing in this family ever was. I arrived at the Morrison Tech building just as Samantha was finishing her press conference. Camera flashes caught her triumphant smile as she shook hands with board members. Quite the performance, I said when the reporters cleared out. She turned, smile never wavering. Lila. Coming to congratulate me? Coming to understand why you're so desperate for those patents. Desperate? She laughed. I'm CEO now. I don't need to be desperate. You need them because they prove what you did. I held up my phone, displaying one of Clara's archived emails. You stole the original designs. That's why you framed Henry, he found out. The mask slipped, just for a moment. Where did you get that? The same place I got proof that Clara was gathering evidence against you. Right up until she died. Careful, Samantha's voice dropped low. Accusations like that could be considered slander. And now that I'm CEO, the company's lawyers are already looking into the original patent applications. Henry's voice cut in. He stepped out of the elevator, holding a leather briefcase. Hello, Sam. Been a while. Samantha's perfectly manicured nails dug into her palm. Security. They're busy, Henry said. Something about federal investigators in the lobby? I watched the color drain from her face. You didn't. I didn't, I said. Clara did. Everything was in her files, waiting for the right moment. The patents weren't just valuable, were they? They were proof. Mason will never forgive you for this, she hissed. Actually, Mason's voice came from behind us. I already knew. We all turned. My husband stood there, holding a familiar vintage teapot, the one Clara had left to Samantha. Found this in your office, Sam, he said quietly. Along with Clara's original designs. The ones you claimed were lost. Samantha's composure cracked. You went through my office? Clara told me where to look. Right before she died. His eyes met mine. I'm sorry, Lila. I couldn't tell you until we had proof. Understanding hit like a physical blow. You were working with Clara? She needed someone on the inside. Someone Samantha trusted. He set the teapot down carefully. I couldn't let you sign those papers. Not when we were so close. Samantha lunged for the elevator, but security was already there. Real security this time, along with several serious-looking men in suits. Miss Morrison? One stepped forward. We need to ask you some questions about certain financial irregularities. As they led her away, she turned back to me. You think this makes you family? You'll always be an outsider. Always. No, I said. I'm exactly who Clara knew I would be. The one person who could see the truth without family loyalty blinding them. Later, in Clara's study, Mason showed me one final letter. She wrote this for you, he said. For after everything was done. The envelope felt heavy in my hands. Inside, Clara's elegant script filled a single page. Dear Lila. Sometimes justice wears a mask of revenge, but the truth is simpler. I chose you because you understand that family isn't about blood or loyalty, it's about courage. The courage to stand against wrong, even when it wears a familiar face. The patents are yours, truly yours. But my real legacy is the truth you helped uncover. Take care of them all, even Samantha. She'll need guidance when this is over. With love and trust. Clara. I looked up at Mason, at Henry, at the shattered remains of family secrets finally exposed to light. What now? Mason asked softly. I picked up one of Clara's teapots, examining my reflection in its polished surface. Now we rebuild. The right way this time. The truth had cost us dearly, but Clara was right, it was worth the price. The Morrison family's summer house loomed against the twilight sky, its windows dark except for one, the library where Henry waited. I clutched Clara's USB drive, each step up the wooden porch feeling like a countdown to something inevitable. Henry stood at Clara's old desk, spreading documents across its surface. You're late. Samantha's lawyers froze my accounts. I set my phone on the desk, displaying the email from my bank. They're claiming I coerced Clara into changing her will. They're desperate. Henry sorted through the papers. But that's not why I called you here. Look at these. The documents were old, yellowed at the edges. Design sketches, early patents, all bearing Clara's signature, and another I didn't recognize. That's my father's signature, Henry said quietly. He and Clara were partners before Samantha pushed him out. Before the accident. Accident? A floorboard creaked behind us. There was nothing accidental about it. Samantha stood in the doorway, holding something that caught the lamplight, a gun. How did you, I started. Get out of custody? She stepped into the room. Money talks. And family connections walk. Put the documents down, Henry. He didn't move. They'll find you. Eventually. But first, we're going to have a family meeting. She gestured with the gun. Sit down, both of you. We sat. My phone lay just out of reach, its screen dark. 15 years, Samantha said, I've protected this family's legacy. Kept us relevant. Profitable. And you want to throw it all away for what? Justice? You killed my father, Henry's voice cracked. He was going to expose everything. The stolen designs, the offshore accounts. Just like Clara was planning to. She smiled thinly. History repeats. My fingers inched toward the phone. Don't, Samantha warned. Mason's already on his way. He'll want to say goodbye to his wife properly. Mason wouldn't. Mason does what's necessary for family. Always has. She picked up one of the documents. Clara never understood that. She thought business was about innovation, progress. It's about power. Control. You're wrong, I said. Clara understood perfectly. That's why she left everything to me. And look how well that worked out. Samantha's laugh was brittle. The patents are being transferred back to the company as we speak. Your little evidence cache? Inadmissible in court. Amazing what good lawyers can accomplish. Headlights swept across the windows. Car doors slammed. Right on time, Samantha smiled. But when the library door opened, it wasn't Mason who stepped through. It was Vivian, flanked by federal agents. Actually, Vivian said, you're the one right on time. We got everything on tape. Samantha's mask cracked. The gun wavered. Drop it, an agent ordered. For a moment, I thought she would. Then she turned the gun toward me. This is your fault. You and Clara, thinking you could change things. Some people don't deserve redemption. The gunshot was deafening. I waited for pain, for darkness. Instead, I heard a choked gasp. Samantha staggered, red blooming across her shoulder. Behind her, Mason stood in the doorway, his service weapon raised, the one I never knew he carried. I'm sorry, Sam, he said softly. It's over. As the agents moved in, I noticed something fall from Samantha's jacket, a small key, identical to the one that had opened Clara's drawer. Henry picked it up, examining it in the lamplight. There's more, isn't there? More evidence? Clara never kept everything in one place, I realized. She knew someone might find the USB drive. Smart woman, Vivian said, helping me up. But we've got enough here for federal charges. Multiple counts. I watched them lead Samantha away, her designer suit stained with blood. She didn't look back. Mason approached slowly, holstering his weapon. Lila, don't. I stepped back. Just don't. The truth had saved us, but at what cost? My marriage, my faith in family, my belief in redemption, all lay shattered like the trust Clara had placed in me. As dawn broke over the summer house, I stood in Clara's library, surrounded by the wreckage of secrets finally brought to light. The victory felt hollow, tasting of ashes and regret. Some legacies, it seemed, were built on bones. The prison visiting room smelled of industrial cleaner and stale coffee. Samantha sat across from me, orange jumpsuit stark against her pale skin, shoulder bandaged where Mason's bullet had struck. The guard stood just out of earshot. Come to gloat? Her voice was hoarse, stripped of its usual polish. I placed Clara's last teapot on the metal table between us. Come to return this. Her eyes fixed on the delicate porcelain. Clara's favorite. The one she used for important conversations. Like the one she had with your father the night he died? Samantha's fingers twitched. You found the recording. In the teapot's false bottom. Clara knew you'd never look there. I traced the pot's gilded edge. She recorded everything that night. Your father threatening to expose the patent theft. You offering him a deal. The argument on the stairs. You have no idea what he would have destroyed. Her mask slipped, revealing something raw beneath. Everything we built. Everything you stole. I leaned forward. Including Henry's inheritance. His father's shares. The original patents. I protected this family. You destroyed it. And Clara knew. That's why she chose me, someone who could see the truth without family loyalty blinding them. Samantha's laugh was bitter. And look what that truth cost you. Mason. The company. Your perfect little life. Mason made his choice. The words hurt less than they should. Just like Clara did. Just like I did. What choice? To destroy me? I pulled out an envelope. To save you. She stared at it. What is this? Clara's last letter to you. The real one, not the fake you had your lawyers plant. I slid it across the table. Read it. Her hands shook as she opened it. I watched her face change as she read, pride crumbling like a mask too long worn. My dearest Samantha, she read aloud, voice breaking. By now you know everything has changed. But this was never about punishment. It was about freedom. The freedom I never had the courage to give you. She looked up, eyes bright with unshed tears. Freedom from what? From the legacy that poisoned you. The need for control that destroyed your father, that almost destroyed Clara. I tapped the teapot. She saw herself in you. The ambition, the fear, the desperate need to prove yourself worthy. She pitied me? She loved you. Enough to stop you before you went too far. Enough to make sure the truth came out while there was still a chance for redemption. Samantha's fingers traced Clara's signature. Why are you really here, Lila? Because Clara left me more than patents. She left me a choice. I pulled out another document. The company shares. They're still mine, legally. I can keep them, rebuild without you. Or. Understanding dawned in her eyes. Or I can help you rebuild yourself. Starting with the truth about Henry's father. All of it. They'll add years to my sentence. Yes. But when you get out, you'll be free. Really free. I stood up. Clara believed in second chances. So do I. But they have to be earned. Samantha looked at the teapot, the letter, the choice lying between us like a bridge or a blade. Why, she whispered. After everything I did? Because revenge isn't justice. And justice isn't about destroying people, it's about giving them the chance to change. I left the teapot with her. As the guard led her away, she paused. I never hated you, you know. I hated what you represented. The chance I never took to be different. It's not too late. She nodded once, clutching Clara's letter like a lifeline. The door closed behind her with a final click. Outside, Mason waited by his car. Is it done? Yes. I handed him my ring. All of it. As I walked away, I felt lighter. Clara had known all along, sometimes the greatest revenge is refusing to let hatred win. Sometimes justice wears the face of mercy. And sometimes the hardest battles aren't fought with weapons or words, but with the courage to choose a different path. The Clara Morrison Technology Scholarship announcement drew more press than I'd expected. Cameras flashed as I approached the podium, the morning sun streaming through the university's glass atrium. In the front row, Henry sat beside Vivian, both offering encouraging smiles. Clara Morrison believed in second chances, I began, my voice steady despite the memories threatening to overwhelm me. In the power of knowledge to transform lives. Today, we honor that belief by offering opportunities to those who might otherwise be overlooked. The first scholarship would go to a young woman from the juvenile detention center where Samantha was serving her sentence. A choice that had raised eyebrows among the board members, but felt right in ways I couldn't fully explain. After the ceremony, I found Henry in Clara's old office, now mine, examining the row of vintage teapots lining the shelves. Samantha asked about you, he said quietly. In her last letter. And? She's teaching coding classes. To other inmates. He picked up the teapot I'd left with her, now returned. Sometimes the student becomes the teacher. I touched the patent certificates framed on the wall, Clara's originals, finally restored to their rightful place. Have you told Mason about the expansion plans? He'll find out with everyone else. Some distances can't be bridged. The door opened, and Vivian entered with a stack of files. They're ready for the board meeting. Are you sure about this? I nodded, gathering the proposals I'd spent months preparing. The company's future, reimagined as Clara might have wanted, focused on innovation, education, and second chances. Including a rehabilitation program for white-collar offenders, starting with one particular inmate. It won't be easy, Vivian warned. Some people will say you're being naive. Maybe. I picked up Clara's favorite teapot, the one that had started everything. Inside, I'd found one final note that morning: the true measure of justice isn't in the punishment we deliver, but in the healing we enable. The boardroom fell silent as I entered. These men and women had known Clara, had watched Samantha's rise and fall, had questioned my right to be here. Now they waited to see what legacy I would build from the ashes of the old. I placed Clara's teapot on the table, its familiar presence grounding me. Before we begin, I want to tell you a story about two women who loved the same family in very different ways. About how the truth can wound and heal in equal measure. And about why sometimes the hardest path is the one that leads us home. As I spoke, I saw understanding dawn in their eyes. This wasn't just about patents or profits anymore. It was about transformation of a company, a family, and ourselves. Later, alone in the office, I opened Clara's journal one last time. A photograph fell out, Clara and Samantha at a company party years ago, both smiling genuine smiles. On the back, Clara had written, "The past shapes us, but it doesn't define us. Remember that, dear one, when the time comes to choose between what's easy and what's right." My phone lit up with a message from the prison administrator. Samantha's students had completed their first coding project. A simple program that turned text into poetry. Her message read, "They're learning to see beauty in the patterns. Like Clara taught me, too late." I placed the photograph back in the journal and locked it away. Some stories don't end with neat resolutions or perfect justice. They end with small steps towards something better, with the courage to keep walking even when the path ahead is unclear. Outside my window, the city stretched toward the horizon, full of possibilities and second chances. Clara had known all along, true legacy isn't in the things we leave behind, but in the changes we inspire in others. The teapot sat empty on my desk, waiting for new conversations, new beginnings. Tomorrow would bring its own challenges, its own choices between revenge and redemption. But for now, this was enough, this quiet moment of understanding that sometimes the greatest victory isn't in winning the battle, but in choosing which battles are worth fighting.